before we get into like Bored and Hungry and just what you've been doing there, I want to get a little background on just your history and like, I know you got your start in the streetwear space with, building up the brand I Am King. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've been in. You might hear the baby in the background a little bit.
It's all good. I got my dogs in the background. It's cool.
I was in streetwear in the 2006 era, and I started this brand called I'm King with my friends. And through that business, I learned a lot about branding, marketing, design, aesthetics, storytelling, like all the foundation that led me to where I'm at today. So I did the clothing thing for about 7.5 years, and after that, I ventured in starting my first concept in restaurants with ice cream, called After's Ice Cream, and we launched. Well, today 8 years later, I've been in the game for 8 years now, and we have 27 locations throughout Southern California and one Las Vegas, and I've helped launch another 15 plus concepts around the world. Trill Burgers with Bun B. Matte Black Coffee with artist Joshua Vides, and Bored and Hungry is like one of the newest ones that we have under the umbrella.
That's awesome. And you mentioned your relationship with Bun B. Tell us how like Trill Burgers kind of came together.
Yeah, so I actually met Bun back in 2010 at the trade show, probably Magic or out in Vegas, and I remember giving him a hat and just introducing myself, and the rest of the show he just wore my hat the rest of the show, right? And I was like, oh man, this guy's super nice. He didn't have to do that. And from there, I ended up opening a place in Houston called Sticky's Chicken with my friends, and Bun showed up and we talked, and we talked again, and kind of like rekindled that friendship that we did have for a while. And then during the pandemic happened, and I was just trying to figure out how to add another concept into the restaurant that we had, because it wasn't as busy as we wanted it to be. The pandemic changed everything, and I was like, you know what? I got an idea. I know Bun B wants to get in the food industry. I want to do something. I want to introduce the smash burger to Houston because no one's doing it yet. So I hit up Bun, and he's like, hey, well, it sounds all good, but let me come and try the product. And he came and tried the product, and he fell in love with it. And he's like, all right, I'm in. And from there, we launched the Trill Burgers thing there.
That's fire, man. I love how just like, before it's the food, it's like, it's just relationship building more than anything. Like you took a great relationship and turned that into a business. I think that's something I've kind of always strived for, and just, businesses I work with. I want, my business partners to be friends. I think a lot of people have that concept of like business never personal, but I like to think business is always personal. So I love that. It was interesting too that you mentioned like bringing the smash burger to Houston. That's been such a trend, and you guys kind of took it out. It's been a trend in Los Angeles food, at least, and I haven't seen it nationwide just yet. And you guys took it to a different market and kind of exploded there. What made you guys do the smash burger for Bored and Hungry as well, rather than like a chicken spot or ice cream spot?
Well, a few reasons. I didn't want to launch another burger concept. I already have this one with Bun B. Why don't we have this? We're just gonna have it powered by Trill Burgers, right? And having Bun's name also attached to it, it's not a bad thing to have. And I think the reason why we chose burgers for Bored and Hungry was, it's the mass market. That's the most approachable thing, right? It's like everyone knows what a burger is. Like, it looks great on packaging. The burger box, the fries, the drink cup. Like, I have 3 points of basically three POPs with this product.
Nice. So taking a step back, tell us a little bit about Bored and Hungry and just how that concept came to be.
Yeah, so the Bored and Hungry concept, I've been looking at the restaurant industry going forward the next few years, and if you guys have gone around everywhere, you see that the whole industry has changed. Rising food costs, no one wants to work. You see now hiring signs everywhere. The quality of service has changed. It's not as great as it used to be. The lack of talent, the lack of talent to hire is not there. So I was like, hey, I don't picture myself doing this I can't see myself doing this for the next 5 years. It's going to destroy me. And I started looking into different things. I was like, okay, well, I always wanted to have a venture fund to do like cool things, like super dope stuff. And in food, it's such a hard way to do it, because in the restaurant industry, the margins are thin, and people that invest into it, they're not that type of investor that you're looking for. They're not as loose. But in the tech world, I learned that there's these guys investing into hundreds of millions of dollars into 10 companies, 9 companies fail, and they're like, okay, whatever, I'm good. and that would never fly in food. So I was trying to figure out how to marry the two industries together to make it work, but I didn't want to compete against Yelp or do another food app. And my buddy was like, yo, you know, you can do what you want to do with NFTs. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I've heard the NFT term here and there, you know, in one ear, out the other. But once he brought that up, it kind of painted this whole new picture of what I could actually do. And once I really went down the rabbit hole of NFTs, I was like, hey, it's about community, it's about brand building, collectibles, like everything I've done already through food and streetwear. I was like, I've done this for the past 20 years. Now, this is now in just a digital world. And from there, I was like, okay, I got this. Me and my buddies have this NFT concept we want to drop, but we didn't want to enter the industry, the Web3 industry, because there's so much money involved. So everyone's very sensitive of what goes on. And I didn't want to look like a cash grab because that wasn't my intention. So I came up with this idea. I was like, yo, I got this. I'm gonna create a gift this is a gift I'm gonna do for the community. I'm going to buy Bored Ape because Bored Ape is the most recognizable NFT project out there. Every celebrity was having one at one point. On every week, you see a new celebrity purchasing one. And then you can live in another country, and if you understand pop culture, you know what a Bored Ape is. So I was like, I'm getting a Bored Ape, and I'm gonna utilize the IP, because once you purchase a Bored Ape, then they grant you the IP rights. You can put it on whatever product you want, and you don't have to give any royalties. So once I did that, I was like, I know exactly what to do. I'm gonna build a brand experience with it.
Man, that's fire. You know, every time I talk to like my skeptical friends about Web3 and NFTs,
He's talking about me.
Yeah, but seriously, I just always reference this project because some people are like, why would I want to own a JPEG? Like, what's the point? And it's like, no, like, look what this man has done from owning this JPEG. He's built a whole business around it. And with building this business, you kind of already sparked like a movement or a trend. I feel like I'm going to see, you know, other Bored Ape restaurants soon, or it's going to be a Bored Ape chicken spot, or, you know, like I just see it because I see the proofs of concept and what you've done. So I love that, man. And then one thing I do want to call out too is that you did it the right way. Like I was talking to Snoop recently, and, you know, he's been huge in the space. And one thing that he was like really harping on is like, man, before I jumped into it, I did my research. I made sure that I was a part of the community. I made sure that the community accepted me and understood the perspective I brought to it. And then I went and did my own project, and I see you did the same thing with yours.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I wanted to do it right. You know, make sure not just picking up another gimmick, but I wanted to make sure the product was obviously the product of the burger is legit. I wanted to make sure the experience was unique, right? Like if you walk into any burger store, it doesn't look like our store, right? Our store is, you have the graphics on the ground, the walls, the neon lights going through. You have the cutout characters. We kind of brought an experience to this food realm.
Yeah, it's all, you know, besides being a great burger, it's definitely like an Instagrammable photo moment. And that's what I loved about it. I went to the opening and I was just finding different spots to take photos and stuff. So I love how you guys built it out. You really didn't skimp on just like the design of it. One thing I did want to talk about is something you kind of mentioned at the opening is tell us about the third mutant ape you had.
The one that got stolen?
Yeah.
So I had four. So I originally had four mutant apes, right? And then the reason why I even have mutant apes were I didn't know how to buy an NFT. I had to learn this whole process, which it's not as easy as it looks. I'm like, when I was going through the process, I'm like, damn, I'm a lot dumber than I look. This is not easy. And in January, the market was going crazy. Bored Apes prices were just skyrocketing, and I didn't know that you had to go to since it was so much money, you have to actually go to the bank to wire the money to Coinbase. And when you're wiring that much money, you're trying to transfer it to this thing called MetaMask so you can purchase NFTs. Once I was transferring it over, they put a hold, and the hold's for 7 days. And I didn't even know how long the hold was going to be for. So I was just sitting there waiting. And as I was waiting, the price keeps going up. I was like, oh my God, this thing's jumped up another 50, 60 grand. Oh no, 70 grand now. I was like, oh man, I gotta come up with another game plan. So I was like, all right, all the prices are moving up. So I'm just gonna buy a few mutants for now. And by the time I inject more money, I'll just sell off the mutant apes and I'll have enough to buy the Bored Ape. But in between that process, I got one of them got jacked out of our account. So I lost pretty much like 70 racks.
Man.
Oh,
yo, I wanted you to tell that story on air because it's a cautionary tale, and like, you know, it really shows you that like there's huge upside to Web3 NFTs, but there's also a downside. So you got to really protect yourself and just know, you know, just what you're getting into.
I would vomit immediately if I lost 70 racks.
Yeah, see, well, trust me, that night I was crying. I was moving everything into this thing called the ledger to protect. I learned security pretty much that night. Right after that, right? I already had the stuff to secure it, but I was so like, well, I was like, I'm not gonna get jacked. And then next thing you know, I got hit. And I was like, I became a wizard after that, right? I learned all of it. Now I know how to do. Now I know how to protect everything.
Man, I might need your help because right now I'm currently locked out of my Coinbase wallet.
What?
I can't. I got it. So I didn't back up my phone to the cloud or my Coinbase. I got a new phone, and now I'm trying to log in, and I don't remember my 12-word password.
But see, the thing is, Josh, exactly. But the funny thing about Josh is when I told him to get a new phone before he went to Dallas, I said, "Put your stuff in the cloud." He said, "I don't need a fucking cloud," and then I was just like, "Okay."
No, well, so I don't back up everything to the cloud. I never back up my photos. I actually back up my photos to Amazon Photos. It's free. Plug. But I just forgot to back up my Coinbase wallet. I did write down the 12 words. I just don't know where I've written it down at. So I've been like searching through all my notebooks at home. It's been a mad scramble. Hopefully I find it. If not, it's a hard lesson learned in Web3.
Oh, tough.
It is. It's very expensive lesson, but you'll know next time you're gonna smarten up a lot. But I think that's the big part of what we're trying to do with our project and onboarding everyone that doesn't understand the industry. Like security is a big part of it. Education is big on it. There's a lot of money to be made, of course, but I think the thing that attracted me most is the level of impact and the speed of impact that the Web3 industry makes. And it's gonna change a lot of industries, and just watch. You know, we're just at the forefront of it right now, but it's going crazy.
No, I have to say, like, as the skeptical NFT guy, I have to say that one thing that I'm glad that you were on the show, because like I felt like my one skepticism about it was that I didn't see enough people in the space that look like me, or I didn't see enough people in the space that were people of color. So it's like for not only you to team up with Bun, but to you yourself kind of embrace it in that way and then brand it in a different way. Like a lot of times I see it, it's like mostly like tech bros who are just kind of just flaunting it. You're actually using it for a positive way to kind of bring awareness to it, but also like bring people an experience. And I think that's what Bored and Hungry is. And I think that's super awesome.
Of course. And I think it's important too. I went to a trip out to New York, and I ended up at an NFT event in like this abandoned warehouse I didn't even know I was going to. I don't even remember how I got invited there, but I got there and everyone was like multicultural, people of color, and everyone's just sitting there like learning about it. And you're like, okay, this is just the beginning of something incredible. And you had guys that were producing music for Nas there talking about how they were building income and making an impact in their fields. And it was super dope to see.